with that, so when we had a real estate entity actually do the analysis of the lease at Lamont, what we have been paying at Lamont per square footage is what's comparable to what you would pay for an office by the White House that has a concierge, a gym, parking, and all other amenities. That's what we're currently paying for Lamont. And that's putting us at a deficit. If we continue on this path, in addition to the decline in enrollment, the consistent decline in enrollment based on the data that we've looked at in the last 10 years, we will have to shut down the school. Whether or not we increase enrollment, we will be on the path to shutting down the school for financial reasons, whether we like it or not, or whether the DC PCSB would ask us to do so, because it's not financially viable to put the money that should go towards the student's education into a bunch of leaseholders' bank accounts. So with that said, that puts us in a position where we as a board would not be financially able to sustain the Lamont lease. And a lot of other schools in DC would not be able to do that. So for that reason, the way that the vote will take place is one, to vote whether to let go of the Lamont campus and allow a merger and acquisition to take place with Friendship Schools. Friendship Schools, to a certain extent, has the economies of scale to sustain this, but even for them, it's still a lot of money. So as a board, we're willing to cooperate with Friendship Schools to ensure that the lease at the Lamont campus is renegotiated so that adequate funding actually goes to the student's education and not into anyone's bank account. So that's the way one of the votes will go tonight. The other vote would be for the Tolson campus. We are well aware, especially the parents who are here, that Tolson needs a turnaround. The word turnaround cannot be understated when it comes to Tolson and what we've experienced at Tolson. And for that reason, we will also take a vote that PLA comes in as a turnaround organization to support us in turning around the Tolson school to be that world-class school that we all envision for all children. The third vote will be to have EdOps be the facilitator of this process. So we all know EdOps. We are very familiar with EdOps work. We worked with EdOps. We have been working with EdOps, and we will have EdOps work with both entities and the board to facilitate this transition process. So those are the three votes we intend to take tonight. And we hope that as a board, we will exercise our fiduciary responsibility, the responsibility that we have to the DC community and all people to make the right decision, like we've done in the past. So you can count on us to do that, to remain consistent and faithful. With that said, are there any questions before I hand over to Heather to direct us in the way that we should go? All right, so first, I think, Heather, where do we start with the motion to?
Yeah, with the motion. So one of the things I wanted to note for the board, we are in the process following tonight's decisions. We will be working with the DC Public Charter School Board as well as the Department of Education to facilitate our request. So the next steps for our school and any decisions that are made is we will have to go before the DC Public Charter School Board with a request for a charter amendment. And that would be whether or not they would approve us using and working with a turnaround operator. And we would go through that process very quickly, filing an application here in the next several weeks. But we will, anything we're doing is contingent ultimately on the approval of the DC Public Charter School Board. So just for all the parents and families, particularly, I want to make certain that that we as the board will be making decisions, but we are also want everyone to be mindful that there are other layers of approval that will have to be completed before any decision can be finalized. So I just wanted to make that placeholder. And then Rebecca, I'm fine if you want to first start in terms of talking about whether or not you're interested in pursuing conversations with the DC Public Charter School Board, Friendship, and the leaseholders with respect to the Lamont lease. And I think that would be a good place to start the discussion and the vote.
What would be the motion?
So at this time, I think the board, you would be moving whether or, trying to think how you want to say it. So you would move to begin negotiations with the leaseholder, as well as Friendship and the DC Public Charter School Board, to transfer the Lamond campus to a third-party entity.
Okay, is there anyone on the board who would like to make that motion?
I'm sorry, I think this is Susan. I just need a little clarification on that, Heather. So the steps are to begin negotiations with the leaseholder, Friendship. This is around Lamond. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Public Charter School Board to transfer the lease to.
Yeah, maybe let me back up and give a little bit more context, Susan, that may help.
Okay,
So
thanks.
currently, we have 2 leases that we hold, one for the Tolson campus and one for the Lamond campus. In both of those scenarios, we have a sublease with Schoolhouse Finance, and Schoolhouse Finance is who our school holds the direct sublease relationship. Schoolhouse Finance then holds a relationship with as a lessor with the master landlord. In the case of the Lamond campus, it's AEP is the master landlord. In the case of the Tolson campus, it's a company called ESJ. So 2 different master landlord agreements. We as a board, those agreements were written and drafted in a way that we have very little flexibility to renegotiate and or terminate those agreements. So the opportunity that has been presented is to potentially allow Schoolhouse Finance to work with them to be able to either renegotiate our agreements for both campuses, which I think our interest really is in both campuses, but then also to potentially allow us to terminate our sublease agreement for the Lamond campus, and therefore allow Friendship to negotiate directly with AEP and or Schoolhouse Finance to negotiate an agreement for themselves. A lot of moving pieces there, which gets very confusing for both our board members and for the public, because we've got a lot of different moving parts of people that we're working with. But from a board perspective tonight, really you are making a decision as to whether or not you would like to include in those negotiations the opportunity to close the Lamond campus as it relates to the Hope school operations, seek an amendment to our charter from the DC Public Charter School Board to allow us to close that campus and consolidate into our Tolson campus, and therefore free up an opportunity if Schoolhouse Finance and if AEP and if the DC Public Charter School Board all agree, then Friendship would be working directly with them to negotiate that as an additional site. So really the question that we're voting on is whether or not the board would like to seek approval from the DC Public Charter School Board and our leaseholder to begin to close the Lamond campus and move to one campus, which would be Tolson. So that's why it gets a little tricky from even a motion. So I think really the crux of the vote would be, at the beginning, would you like to close the Lamond campus and only have the Tolson campus, operating at the beginning of next year? Again, contingent on all these other entities approving that.
Heather, if I may just make a point of clarification, I'm a bit concerned about using the word closed just because of parent interpretation of the word closed. Perhaps should we just say that we are entertaining or welcoming a merger and acquisition of the Lamond campus with Friendship Schools. So that way the word close doesn't create a negative messaging or a misconstrued messaging of the board's decision to work to foster the best interest of the students, if that makes sense.
Yes, so we still want to provide, I think the board wants to provide a smooth transition to, which would allow Friendship to continue to work and educate students and work with families at that campus. But for Imagine's purpose, we would have one campus, again, contingent on approval, as well as approval of, Friendship's board as well. That's a very good clarification, Rebecca. We don't want to send anyone into a panic that they're not going to have a place for their child in the fall.
Heather, this is Susan again. Yeah, that was really helpful. I think the part where I was getting tripped up, I was like, I'm totally good on the big picture. There was some language towards the end of that proposed motion around to transfer ... third party. What was I was just getting a little confused towards the end.
It was sort of a long motion because it's such a complicated transaction. And I'm thinking, Rebecca, perhaps it would be best just simply to say, that the board is approving you to negotiate with the DC Public Charter School Board on the board's behalf, a possible merger and acquisition of the Lamont campus. I think that's the cleanest way to do it.
Okay.
And we can then avoid any confusion that we're trying to close that building.
Yeah, let's eliminate that out of our vocabulary.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Susan, is that clear? Would you like to make the motion?
I'm not sure I can make the motion, but I understand it. So if someone wants to restate it, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so you would be giving the chair approval to negotiate with the DC Public Charter School Board, as well as Friendship and Schoolhouse Finance, to transfer and merge the Lamont campus to a third party.
Oh, can we just say we make a motion to seek the DC PCSB's approval for merger and acquisition of the Lamont campus by Friendship?
Perfect.
Did you catch that, Susan?
One more
Clear as
time.
mud.
One more time.
So you move that the board votes on a merger and acquisition of the Lamont campus by Friendship Schools.
Okay. And it's Friendship Schools. That's the official name. That's good. Friendship's good with that.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so I move that the board votes on a merger and acquisition of the Lamont campus by Friendship Schools.
Would anyone like to second it?
Yeah, he's nice.
I second that. This is Alteria.
Thank you, ma'am. Everyone in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Anyone on opposed? Any abstentions? Heather, do we need a roll call?
Nope, I think we're
Okay.
okay.
All right, we have voted that we will proceed with the process of a merger and acquisition of the Lamont campus by Friendship Schools in good faith and in the best interest of the entire community of DC and public dollars. Thank you. So the next one, the next motion is to proceed with negotiation with PLA to turn around the Tolson campus. Would anyone like to make the motion for that, please?
This is Austin Alderdice from the board. I would like to make a motion to leverage our relationship with PLA as a turnaround organization for the Tolson campus.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone like to second that motion?
This is Carrie Smith. I second that motion.
Thank you, ma'am. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any one opposed? Any abstention? All right, so we have it. We will proceed negotiations with PLA to turn around the Tolson campus. Once again, in the best interest of the entire community. And the entire community includes all residents of DC and students, staff, families, and everyone's public dollars. The third motion and vote for today would be to proceed negotiations with EdOps to support the board in facilitating this process. So EdOps will focus on finance and operations. And EdOps has gone through this process and is well experienced in this process, and will also help the board to, will be, the manager of this process, so to speak, for the board as well. So the motion would be to proceed negotiations with EdOps to facilitate this transition process. Heather, does that sound okay?
Yes, that's a much easier one. I like that one.
Man's turn. Okay. May I have someone on the board to make this motion, please?
Sure, I can do it. This is Susan. I move that the board proceeds with negotiations with EdOps to facilitate this transition process.
Great. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone, one opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the ayes have it. So thank you so much, everyone. We have voted on the 3 major decisions we need to make tonight as a board. We will invite comments from Friendship and PLA. And I'm not sure if EdOps is here tonight. Dan, are you here? Okay. From PLA and Friendship. And in the next couple of weeks, Friendship and PLA will be on ground, whether it's virtually on ground or in a hybrid version on ground, but we'll be on ground to start working with all stakeholders. And that includes parents, students, staff, including the custodians. I heard someone, mention custodians. Everybody is someone in this process. Everyone is important in this process. So we definitely need to, gather information, look at our baseline information, and really start to make plans from now on until June 30th, when the contract with Imagine officially expires. So next week, Thursday, we're looking at 5:30 to 7 to actually invite PLA and Friendship to really share their roadmap with us. So how would things look starting, today, technically up until June 30th and beyond? The roadmap would include so many factors, which a lot of questions have been posed here. We will share an outline with, we have shared an outline with Friendship and PLA already, so they're well aware of what we will be discussing next week as the roadmap, which will include how, how to create a culture starting now. How would we build another new culture or build from what we have right now? How will staff, I don't want to use the word transition, because both entities do reserve the right to interview staff. So for all staff members who are here, get your resumes ready, get your credentials ready, and apply. I'm yet to meet a great teacher in DC who is unemployed. So, work on your craft and come with your best self. And that's the best that I can say. Once again, I'm yet to meet a great teacher in DC who's unemployed. So if you, with that in mind, we have the best interest of everyone at heart and the best interest of the students at heart to make sure that credentialed staff, will be hired. And of course, no one is obligated to keep anyone's job. These are new organizations. Current staff members are employees of Imagine. So no one is technically under obligation to keep anyone's job, but we are willing to keep the culture of the school and work with staff, as they bring their best selves. But the board is not obligated. The board is not imposing that on the entities either, because everyone has to be accountable for their work. So with that said, over the next couple of weeks, the more information will be shared on how to apply. And both entities will be here next week about the same time. Perhaps 6 p.m. might be a better time to start. And if not, please let me know. But both entities will be here next week to show us the roadmap of where things are going moving forward. For all the questions that were posed last week, for example, will Black History be taught throughout the year? Next week will be a good time to post those questions again. And over the subsequent weeks, when there will be a lot of stakeholder engagement, please show up, share this vision of what you would like to see at your school. This is your school, this is our school. Come and share your vision. And we are happy to make that a reality for all of us. So with that said, I'd like to invite Ms. Brentley to please share some thoughts and some words with us as you join our Hope community, before you also kind of move on to friendship, because we are kind of saying a farewell, but not a full farewell, and then PLA as well.
Good evening to everyone. First, let me say, I'm Pat Brantley. I'm the CEO of Friendship Schools. I've been with Friendship for over 23 years. About 27 years ago, I was with Friendship House that founded Friendship Schools. I am a resident right in DC. Today, if you look around the screens, I'm going to ask all Friendship people to raise their hands. We are here. Most of us are in DC or in the DMV, and we will be with you every step of the way. We don't take for granted that when a board makes a decision like this, it is likely one of the hardest decisions after deciding to found your organization that you can make. But sometimes the times are too hard to do it on your own. Friendship is a relatively large organization, and I can tell you without a doubt that the financial strain of the real estate transaction was eventually going to close the school. We've just seen it too many times. And so the opportunity that we have now to save the school and to keep kids together is one that we take very seriously. We know it's not joyous for everyone, but I promise you, if you give us a chance, you are going to see joy. We are going to invest in the school, in the property, in the students, and in the staff. That's our commitment. And we are right here in Washington, DC. Across the street from Hope Lamond is Friendship Ideal. On right now, and I'm just going to ask for 1 minute for him just to say a word, is Joseph Spate, who is our leader at Friendship Ideal and has been in education in DC for decades. So Mr. Spate, could you just say a quick word?
Good evening, everyone. It is a pleasure to have an opportunity just to speak to you all again. As Ms. Brantley just eloquently shared, we will be here. We are literally across the street. We will have opportunities for you to speak to some of the teachers that were with Ideal Academy prior to it becoming Friendship Ideal Academy. We will be conversing with you and having more conversation with you all to hear what your hopes and dreams are. We are here for you, just as Ms. Brantley just said, and we are literally across the street, and I will be able to provide my email information to you all for any further questions.
And then finally, let me say, our campuses are currently open 4 days a week, and we can make arrangements for you to visit, socially distanced, masked, of course, and also screened, so you can see what we are doing in person, and we can make arrangements for you to get a view into our virtual classes. I'm in the office about 3 or 4 times a week or at a different campus. And so I can talk to you face to face or by Zoom, because I know we're still in a virtual world, because this is going to be a time where we need to get to know each other so that you can learn more about us and what we are going to do to care for your families and staff. So thank you. And thank you for the time.
Mr. Phalen?
Yeah, we're just so pleased to be part of your new community. For some of you who weren't there last week, PLA has been blessed to help move 9 schools from F and D rated status to the type of high quality A-rated schools that your children deserve, driving academic instruction, creating the type of climate and culture that your children deserve, challenging them on what their futures could be. So we're so pleased to be part of the community. My team will be here next week, so you can get to meet more of my team. As I shared last time, we had a presentation. PLA turned around 9 schools using 84% of the exact same staff that was there before we became partners. So if you're passionate about student success, if you're hardworking, if you're collaborative, if you have incredibly high beliefs in what's possible for our scholars, we want you. So we're so excited to meet you next week, and so excited to, I'm seeing a lot of the chats talking about the great staff that's already at Tolson. We're thrilled to be part of the community and look forward to working with you to give children everything that they deserve and everything that they will need to be their best selves.
Thank you so much, Mr. Phalen. Thank you, Ms. Brantley. So for the comments in the chat, before I just make an official statement in response, I'll first like to share what the 2 entities will be speaking on next week. So we are asking that as a part of the roadmap that will be shared, that we see an explanation of how the entities will assess the current state of academics at the school, a plan for how you will hire staff. Note that the current staff members are employees of the EMO, but are at will. Some staff might be interested in applying, while there's a need, there might be a need to hire new ones, depending on what roles you decide to create. Examples of how you support staff through a management transition. Note that our staff and school community have experienced a great deal of turnover at the leadership level, especially at Tolson across the over the last few years. Would appreciate an understanding of how your organization will bolster the community during this transition. A plan on how you would increase enrollment, and examples of exceptional school culture, examples of curriculum and professional development, a plan for how you may communicate and engage parents in the community in the work of the school, a timeline of activities, from now leading up until the new academic year. So I share this to say that the board has the interest of the staff and students in mind. And for me as a person, when I see some of the comments that are being stated in the chat right now, I wonder how much we're really thinking about the future of the school based on what we've shared. And there are videos online that you can see in terms of the data that the board has been looking at in the last year. This school will shut down if we don't make this decision now. I hope that we're not just thinking about a paycheck and not the future of the school, of the students who are maybe in 1st grade right now and need a school by the time they get to 5th grade. And that's why we're making this decision. So I would really ask us to search within our souls and really ask ourselves, what is really our concern? Is it the job or is it the future of the school? And which one should be more important? Because if there is a school, then there will be a job. But then if there's no school, then there really wouldn't be a job. So I would really appreciate if we reserve personal comments and personal concerns and really think about the future of the school and these children who have no advocate. So thank you everyone for being here tonight. There will be another flyer and email regarding the meeting next week. And our goal is to serve the students who don't have an advocate, is to serve the students who could be the next Barack Obama because they deserve a quality education. And as long as entities exist to serve those students, there will be jobs for the adults to serve them. So another piece that would like some emphasis on for next week is also the ELL population and the SPED population as well. And an outline will be shared again by email, just to have a clear framework of emphasis to share the roadmap that will be taken in the best interest of the students to provide a top-notch education comparable to what you would get at a Sidwell Friends in a public school. That is the vision of the board. And we've had enough Black and brown children go to school in those settings, face overt racism, because they fundamentally believe they can't get anything better elsewhere. So we have a group of people who are really working so hard, who are not paid for what they're doing to provide this education. And we're just asking for the support of the adults to just go with us. And I'm not sure what's unfair about this process, because if you've been a part of this process for the past 1 year, you would know that even DC PCSB has been asking us.
Giving the parents a chance to voice their opinion. It's unfair because you're saying it's about the school. It's not. It's about the trust that we put in the teachers who gave us, not only the parents, but the students, the opportunity to succeed, and they believed in us. So
Thank you,
it's
ma'am.
I would
about the school.
maybe just jump in and say, Ms. Taylor and others, so a couple comments. So I've asked in the chat, due to the DC Public Charter School requirements and the open meeting requirements, we cannot have comments in the chat. They need to be part of our public record. And so I'd really ask that you refrain from putting any comments there, so that we are compliant with the DC laws that we are required to abide by for public meetings. And then secondly, I know there was an email in the chat that you can direct any questions or comments. We want to be thoughtful about getting responses back to you, but this will be a public process on a go forward basis as well. And there'll be public hearings related to the charter amendment request. And so I know that the board has been working to make sure that we've done all of these meetings in a public forum, to try to keep folks as up to speed as possible about all of the different pieces that are moving right now. And so I'm certain that there'll be additional conversation and opportunities, for you all to weigh in. But I just want to respect everybody's comments to make sure that, we're getting them recorded properly and we're getting thoughtful, answers to each of you as well.
Thank you. And we
Sorry
had
to interrupt.
several-
I'm so sorry to interrupt. Can someone please just answer this one question? What does the word turnaround use? You're using this word turnaround. How is that being used? Like, can you describe what exactly is the turnaround at the
Yes,
Tulsa
ma'am.
campus? Please, thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. So first, we have invited parents' input for the last 1 year. We've had so many parent engagement meetings. Even our last letter, we had a parent meet and greet last year. We've invited parents to all of our meetings. We've invited comments. You can watch the videos. We've always invited parents' comments and input. So that's one thing. Turnaround, the word turnaround is being used because, as we've mentioned in our previous meetings, even DC as a community is shying away from operators. It's shying away from charter management operators, because charter management operators take money that should go towards the student's education into the management process. And because the board is shying away from that process, so more dollars can go to the students, we're engaging a company in a turnaround agreement as opposed to a charter management agreement, which means EdOps, for example, would manage our finances. EdOps will manage the operations along with the entity, PLA, for example. PLA will focus on academics, because we do need to turn around the curriculum at the school into a world-class curriculum. And we do need to turn around the school so that we can enroll more students. We've had a decline in enrollment, and a decline in enrollment presupposes some things about performance, why parents come and they leave. And not only are they leaving consistently, or have been leaving consistently over the last 10 years, most of them leave after the first year, which means they stay for 1 year, they've had enough, and they move on. So there are some things that we do need to turn around. Now,
Okay.
to learn more about what needs to be turned
Excuse me.
around, 1 second, ma'am, please. Please come to our subsequent meetings and we will talk more about that. Next person, please.
You said that there's a turnaround, and you said that there's a decline in enrollment, and people come and they leave. To be honest, my daughter has been in there since pre-K 3, and my nephew he went there previously to Tulsa throughout his whole years since he started school. My daughter has learned so much from pre-K 3 all the way to now. Be quiet. And her teachers invest and put their time in, also their personal money. You're talking about money and management and stuff like that, and I understand that. But from Ms. Wallace on to Ms. Smith and Ms. Upshur has taught my daughter, and my daughter she's very advanced. And I feel like y'all want to do a turnover. That is going to put her back, and it's also going to put adrift in her that personal reflection that she has with the teachers. And y'all want to bring in new teachers. That's not fair to the kids at all.
Ms. Turner, thank you so much for your comment. I'd like to just highlight some assumptions that you're making in your statement that are not accurate. So you first is an assumption that we're bringing in new teachers. No one has said anything about that. We said we're having teachers go through a process of applying with a new organization because they have to be under a new payroll. They have to be under a new management or a new turnaround organization. We're not saying we're bringing in new teachers. In fact, we just also said that at least 84% of teachers have been retained. So I don't know how that, will cause any fear or concern that your child will lose her teacher. There's no reason to have that impression, ma'am. That's not the goal.
And maybe it's important, Rebecca, too, for Ms. Turner and others to point out that, all of the teachers and employees are currently employees of Imagine. And since the board has not renewed the agreement with Imagine, we are in a process where they will have to be interviewed and rehired into a new organization, either by the board directly or by an organization like Friendship and or PLA to work as employees of those organizations. So that's just a reminder of the process. So those individuals are not, they are not currently employees of the school or the board, they're employees of Imagine Schools.
And this is a standard process that happens when a board does not renew its contract with a charter management organization. This is very standard. It happened at Paris Street. It happened at DC Bilingual and a couple of other schools. This is a standard process. It's not new. And those schools are tier 1 schools today.
I understand that, but you said that they have to reapply.
Ma'am, that's the standard process.
You have a nice day. You have a nice day because
you too. Thank you. God bless. Okay, so thank you, everyone. Are there any more questions or comments?
Yes, I have a comment, Rebecca. I just want to thank you for making a request that the 2 EMOs give more, I guess, information surrounding how they address the special needs population, as I will be serving them with equity until it's time for the change and the turnover. And I just want to make sure that the parents that have babies within the school, that they're represented to know where their children will be, whether it's one EMO or the other, or if I have to place them in another program. So thank you very much for asking for more information.
Absolutely. And over the next couple of weeks, as both entities will be looking at of course, what's privy in terms of student information, they would also know what their needs are to make the necessary accommodations. Because as long as we get federal dollars, we are responsible to serve. Sorry, Carrie?
Hi, this is Carrie. This is Carrie Smith. I am one of the board members. I'm also a parent. I have 2 children that attend Lamond. They've both started in pre-K, and my personal experience has been good. We've been blessed with great teachers along the way. However, this situation isn't about me or my children. This is about the community of kids that attend the schools. And I've been on the board now just over 2 years, and I have seen the trials and tribulations that our teachers go through when it comes to our books in the library aren't updated, our curriculum is behind. There are real issues at stake here. And as one of the parents on the board, we firmly believe that our children, our community of kids, deserve a better education. My kids deserve, I pay taxes in DC, my kids deserve a good education as any other tier 1 school in DC or any private school. And quite frankly, I don't want to move to Virginia or Howard County to put my kids in a better school. I like where I live. So therefore, this is an opportunity for all of us to do better for our children. It's not just about my experience, because it's been good, but from what we have seen over the years, we have tried with Imagine Schools to make things better. But when we're still trying to figure out the curriculums and books and things that should be in place that are in place at other schools, then we have a problem. And that's why this decision hasn't been easy. It hasn't been a quick decision. It's taken over a year. And correct me if I'm wrong, Rebecca, it's been over a year. I've been on a path to correct things with Imagine, and it hasn't worked. So I just want everyone to understand this decision was not taken lightly, and it was not taken just from the context from a board or people who have nothing involved in the community or kids. That's not the case. We have kids there, we're invested in where we live, but personally, I am tired of hearing that Black and brown kids can't perform. I work in AHR, and trust me, I want to hire smart brown and Black people who speak well, who write well, who are educated. We have Barack Obama as an example, Kamala Harris. Our kids deserve the same things as well. So I know this is this is going to be a tough process to go through. We will be as supportive as we possibly can. We encourage you to ask questions that you need answered. We are here to do that, but please give us a chance to do what we think collectively as a group and for a community, that this is a better decision for the children that attend these two schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. And to give some real facts, we have curriculum as old as 1998 in that school. That's appalling in 2021. And if you know that and you still think this is a bad decision, then I'll leave you to your conscience. And that's all I can say at this point. Any more questions or comments? Can we have a motion to adjourn this meeting, please?
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Can the parents contribute their opinion?
Ma'am, we've made a motion, so we'll table it next week, and you could please email hopepcsdc.board@gmail.com.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Can someone second the motion, please?
This is Altieri. I second the motion.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Abstentions? All right, thank you so much, everyone. We look forward to working with you, Friendship Schools, PLA, Leadership Academies. It's a pleasure, and EdOps. Thank you for all parents who are here and for those who are unable to attend. Once again, this is a journey to a better future, to give the best to our children, and just not like my child, but all children. And we look forward to working with you on this journey. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great evening. God bless.
Good night.